In Christianity, many people are so focused on connecting, I think most, are so focused on connecting to Jesus, or perhaps the Archangel Michael, you know, one of the big players. Even in, you know, Catholicism, we think of like these saints. They're like saints of big things a lot of the time. Saints that are the intercessors between us and God. Um, we're thinking, something far above us. This is why a lot of chapels and cathedrals are designed with these tall ceilings. It's supposed to instill in you a sense of majesty, of how grand the heavens are. But what about connecting to the earth? In my case, I call her Zora. So, whatever you call Mother Earth, you don't have to call her Zora. We don't often think about, especially in monotheistic cultures, I'm not Christian, I'm not a monotheist in the usual term. We don't think about the forest beneath our feet, the dirt beneath our feet. We don't think about the spirit of that which is just below us, something that we have physical contact with on a regular basis. The membrane between us and the spirits beneath our feet, even the air and the plants and the streams, the membrane is much thinner. The spiritual connection, as far as our communication with it, our relationship with these things, it's so much closer than something like an archangel or someone like, Jesus, or even a saint, that can be an intercessor to God in heaven for us on our behalf. Even in Luciferianism and Satanism, you're always looking out. You're always looking to, get in contact with Satan or get in contact with Lucifer. Or if you're working with Goetia, get in contact with Belial, Paimon, these princes of hell. What about even just, a lot of people who work with the Goetia think about the spirits of nature as a form of daemon. They usually use the term daemon instead of demon. Even in those understandings, there is a spiritual nature. There's a spirit behind the trees, the air, the ground. We have this idea of ourselves as getting the most help from contacting something that's really big. And if we contact it enough, we work to it enough, we can get all these big changes in our lives. I think we should start to try to focus on things that are smaller because they're right there with us. We just don't try to connect to them. We can, and I'm coming from a more shamanic background. I tend towards Norse shamanism, but there's a lot of Native American shamanism in what I do. And there's all kinds of shamanism that I kind of incorporate. A lot of it's linked to blood for most people. For me, yes, I do have, I'm 14% Aztec, 14% Cherokee, 9% African, and most of the rest is Scandinavian. So I have a connection to the shamanic paths, the DNA paths. And there's an argument to be made of, if somebody is in tune with their DNA, perhaps they might have a tendency to one path or another, or one shamanic form or another. That's a conversation to have. But even if you don't, the spirits are right there, the spirits of nature. You can talk to a tree, you can talk to the ground, like you would a friend. And I think that, when Christians here in, Northern America and, United States now at this point, Native American tribes developed an understanding and a connection. I'm using a blanket term, Native American tribes. I would say most, certainly the Cherokee and the Aztecs, and Iroquois in the eastern United States, and Ponca, Choctaw. These are like the first real nations of this land. And we call them First Nations not because they understood things as, property and nations, but because they were the first peoples here that were peoples. And we gloss over that. But they developed a connection to the land, a relationship to the land. And many of those tribes understood a grander source, a grander, creator. but they still had those connections to the land, to the animals, to the trees, to the herbs, to everything that was directly in contact with their lives. Everything has a spiritual significance. And, especially in Christianity in the United States and probably all around the world, there's not that connection to, their understanding as the creation of, I think that, everything's a part of the source, but their understanding that, they don't have a spiritual relevance or connection to these forces around, because it's just creation. It's separate from God. It's something else, something not to be considered as something you should contact, because it's creation, and we're supposed to go somewhere else after we die. And I think that robs you of your really the spiritual potential in your own soul and spirit, life force, and personality, that human need and that human potential to unlock our own potential by our connection to nature and the spiritual forces that are right here. We don't have to always appeal to something so much further and bigger than us. You can talk to trees, you can talk to the soil. You can draw your personal symbols of power and connection into the soil with your hands. You can take off your shoes and your socks, plant your feet in the earth, and just put your hands out to the side and just breathe deeply, and just try to develop those energy techniques where you feel the energy. You're drawing up the energy from the earth. It has plenty to give, and it's willing to communicate with you in the form of energy if you are just willing to open yourself up to it. It can cleanse you. The earth cleanses. Rivers cleanse. They want to do that for us. We just don't understand them as being spiritually potent and valuable and worthy of honor and maybe even worship. I worship the earth all the time, but there's these simple energy techniques of just breathing and drawing in the energy from the soil. Or, you can also draw in energy just from light. You can just breathe. Don't look at the sun, but just breathe and expose your skin to the light. And just as you breathe deeply, just try to focus, on your third eye. And this is kind of Eastern, but there's other, Native American correlations. Norse perhaps as well, though I haven't found any. But focusing on your third eye and breathing, and just imagine just try to feel your pores opening. At first it's imagining. Try to just open yourself up. Just imagine that your whole body opening up and accepting the light rays in from the sun. Similar with the earth. Rivers. It's great to move about in rivers, safely. Try to find one safe, or a stream or something like that. But, kind of getting in contact with the water, and then kind of moving around in it. A little bit like Tai Chi, if you want to do movements like that, but moving around in it. And try to feel like it's a personal relationship where you're moving and it's moving with you. And you can speak to the river when you're in it. You can speak to all these things. I'm giving you very basic techniques. There's other videos that I've talked about this stuff in, but try to just close down the mental dialogue and completely open your mind to listening to and accepting the subtle essences of nature. Try to clear your mind. Even if you're just walking through a forest, clear your mind. Look around. Touch the bark. Touch the leaves. Don't pick anything, but just touch everything. And, within reason, and be safe. But engage with nature. Look around. Open your perception. Don't be afraid to just observe and not try to do anything. Just sit in nature. Look around. Sometimes it's good just to walk through the forest. Try to get out of, the idea space and trapped with our own thoughts, and just try to move yourself out into your skin, out into your senses, and engage with nature. Develop a relationship with nature in that way. That has just the simplest saying can have these wonderful effects for you, because whether you believe in evolution or not, we have been in nature for a very long time. I believe in evolution. I think it was a part of the whole spiritual process as well. I believe in physical evolution, spiritual evolution, energetic evolution. But we're here. We shouldn't just be appealing to things that are beyond this place. And, I believe that there's soul in everything. There's certain consciousness in everything as well, to lesser degrees or greater degrees. There are land whites beneath our feet that are very big, very vast, and they just haven't been contacted by people in so long that they don't really have a good, like, I guess you could say language with us, because most people don't try to contact it, or we pollute, or in cities we just completely like really make these spirit land whites catatonic by our engagement in the way that what we do in cities is pollution. But if you have a chance to get around nature, engage with it. Look at all the little lines and things. See how things grow. And you'll start to notice all these things in your head, and you'll start to feel a connection to these observations, and you'll start to feel a connection to nature. Our relationship to nature is more important for us now, here, and for our spiritual lives than any ideas or connections to something that's just far off. Nature is here. Connect with nature, because nature is important. Many indigenous peoples believe this, and will believe it in the future. And they understood the simplicity of that connection, but also the importance of it. Simplicity and importance go hand in hand a lot of the time. When we try to divide things into sections in our head, or constantly engage with these macro ideas, or just a general idea of love and compassion without a physical and sensual engagement with nature, then they remain ideas. And then once we develop a relationship with nature, we find that our relationship with other people is better, because nature has things to teach us when we engage with it, when we interact with it. And we learn that subconsciously, and we start to learn it consciously. Respect nature and engage with nature, because it is important. No matter what path you follow, it is so important. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been interesting. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, shoot them down in the comment section below on YouTube. You can share this video wherever you want, as long as you give me credit. In fact, I encourage you to do so. With any of my videos, that's the case. And if you have any questions, you want to engage with me personally, go to www.facebook.com/hunter.salazar, HUNTER.SALAZAR. I'd love to talk with you about these practices, about nature. And I'd love to clarify some things, because I've been very vague here, but I can't stress enough how important this is. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. Engage with nature. Love yourselves. And all of you, have a wonderful day.